I'm not sure it's on point, but I mean, you were talking about, you know, banking and maybe trying to draw people in banking and do things in the community. One of the ways you all do things in your community and improve your community is just a lot of the day-to-day work that you do, and it used to be talked of in sort of almost romantic terms, like the story about APG and Indy right after the San Francisco fire, setting up a little table on barrels and lending. And I just wondered if you could talk very quickly just about what is the most exciting loan that you ever made, the most interesting and exciting, and that had the most impact.
That's a great question.
So mine wasn't a loan, it was opening up an account.
Okay.
Okay, so the story, Boys and Girls Club of Central Virginia, they have an award that they give out nationally and regionally. And one of the young women, who at the time I think was 15 years old, her story, I'm not going to get into her story, would have broken anybody's heart here as to how you would have heard this and say, this kid, there's just no way she's ever going to have a chance in life. She won the award. The award comes with about $500. That's a big thing. That was a gigantic thing. So she asked, since they have their account with us, she asked to speak to somebody that knew something about money. I don't know why she picked me. So, but I got the honor of, she came down to the office with the Boys and Girls Club representatives. We sat there. Her first question was ascertaining whether I knew what I was talking about and whether I was wealthy. Her words, not mine. I never had anybody ask me a direct question like that. I think I satisfied her answer, okay. But she said, so what do I do with my money? I said, well, some of it we want to put into savings accounts. Some of it you'll want to take to yourself. I have a rule of thumb. $25 of this you're going to give to the group that helped you get there. None of us get to where we are without help. So 25 of that, $25 of it you're just going to go crazy with. Do whatever you want. Take your friends out to a movie, but just spend it like crazy. We took her down to the bank. She opened up an account to put $450 in. Then she went off and we gave her dollars in gold coins, okay? Because that she had never seen in her life, gold coins. And she actually questioned the validity, is that really a dollar bill? I'm like, it's really good. So the bottom line was, James Pierce of Boys and Girls Club of Central Virginia called me the next day and he said, you cannot believe what happened. And I said, James, I'm a banker. I'm not surprised what happens anymore. He said, the girl you talked to yesterday, she went and she took her friends out for pizza, but the $25 that you said to give it to somebody that cared, she gave it to the Boys and Girls Club of Central Virginia. So the messaging that she heard about giving back to the people that help you get to where you are, she actually heard it, did it. She still has her money in the bank. It was the most satisfying account that I ever had open in my life.
John, if I could just jump in there, it's a little bit of a twist, and I think you might find this interesting. At the beginning of today's discussion, we talked about what's the definition of a community bank, and I think we came back to serving a particular area, and size is there, maybe not there, but what I've realistically seen here over the last 5 years or so is participation in the communities. The large banks have not participated. Our franchise pretty much developed by merger. 9 different branches in 9 distinct communities. I'm just going to use an example. 7 recent parades. Royal's been the only one in each parade. And it takes time and some money, and we're walking, and we're saying hello, and we're sharing. But Bank of America, who sits across the street from me, silent. Chase, down the street from me, silent. MB Financial, who's going through, silent. Nothing. So, again, the community banks were meant, similar to where your question, I think was what are community banks doing to the communities? It just boggles my mind that we're still doing the same things that we used to do 30 years. And the large ones get away with doing nothing. And I'm not saying you have to be in every single parade. But when somebody comes around looking for the donation, if it makes sense, we do, if it fits within the scope and everything else. But I can almost guarantee you the large ones, probably point to a New York office somewhere. And I think that's really where we lost Some of the growth of the very large banks controlling now over 50% of the deposits out there, probably closer to 75%. I don't know what the exact number is sitting here, but it's huge, and it's not gonna get any better.
But to be fair, just to come around full circle, those banks have a global community. And so they give at the national and the global level. They do things, but I mean, just in fairness.
Right.
It's just what Paul had asked earlier, how do you define your community? And I think for us, it's getting involved. It's not donating to the, Humane Society. It's not donating to some, big thing that also needs to be funded and also does great things. But the advantage that we get, and I think it's a huge advantage. It's the same feeling that, Glenn, talked about. We get to change lives, and we get to see that change. Whereas when you're dealing at a global or a national level, you're changing lives, you're making a difference, but you don't get to see it. So I think people might oftentimes think what we do is simple and small compared to what a large bank does, and it's all just scale. A very smart person told me many years ago, it's all just zeros. It's it's the same thing. It's just more zeros, but it's just a lot more fun. To be involved in a community and to see that difference, to get the sort of skin on your arm, just just kind of stand up a little bit when you see somebody that it just makes that much of a difference. So
Right.
it's just fun.
And to piggyback on Jeff, I think that we sometimes get caught up in the fact of how much is donated, what funds are used. And I think the fact of donating time can get discounted.
Mhm.
And I think that can really play a major impact.
Yeah.
So, Glenn, any comments on
Yeah,
loans?
my favorite loan is we helped, we refinanced the house of one of our business customers that was being foreclosed on in 2009. And the bank large bank that they were dealing with didn't want to talk to them, and we refinanced it. And a couple weeks ago, they just refinanced it to get in a long-term permanent loan, and the business that they had got back on its feet pretty quickly, and they had the cash, and their daughter just went to college. And it's just a fun story because their life could have been totally differently because they would have been out of their house. And we just thought they were good people, and it's awesome now because she's like the biggest advocate. We have a raving fan on almost every front when she's out talking, and she drives a whole bunch of business to the bank. And it was just an act of kindness that defied almost underwriting, but it was the right thing to do.